With a major selection of the looks your kiddos love starting at just $4 in the Walmart app, a new school year means a stylish new them. Who knew? Find skater skirts and Crocs that say, I'm casual but cool. Sparkly sneakers that say, it's my classroom, you're just learning in it. And preppy polos that say, I'm the teacher's pet, even if they're mommy's menace at home. Find their favorite styles starting at just $4 in the app. The Walmart you thought you knew is now new.
This episode is brought to you by San Pellegrino Ciao, a new kind of flavored sparkling water. The kind made with real fruit juice, a pinch of Sicilian salt, and the sparkle of the Italian sun. With no added sugar and just 10 or less calories per can, enjoy. With love, from Italy. By San Pellegrino Ciao now.
AI is moving fast. So fast, it's hard to keep up. In fact, in ServiceNow's latest AI Maturity Index, scores dipped 20% from last year. But that's okay, because AI isn't a sprint. It's a marathon. You may be behind today, but tomorrow you could be a pace setter. Dive into ServiceNow's AI Maturity Index and see how you can innovate as fast as your ambitions. Visit servicenow.com/AI maturity.
You're listening to the Animation Addicts Podcast, episode 347, Elio, Ham Radios and Super Squishies. Welcome to the Animation Addicts Podcast with the Rotoscopers, the #1 place to get your animation fix with animation addicts just like you. Each episode, we dive into the wonderful world of animation featuring Disney, DreamWorks, Pixar, and everything in between. From hilarious discussions and movie reviews to interviews with industry insiders, this show's mission is to brighten your day through our love of animation. So hop on your nerdy couch, grab some snacks, and get ready to hang out with your animation besties because it's time to dive into today's episode. Hey there, animation addicts. I'm Chelsea Robson. And I'm Morgan Stradling. Morgan, we have yet another intergalactical adventure to go over today. Mm-hmm. We're back in deep space. Ooh, in deep for sure. We are talking about Pixar's newest animated film, Elio. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't really have much else to say about it. Yay! We're talking about Elio. So this has been an interesting one because if you're talking to people about this film, we'll talk about this a little bit more, but a lot of people who aren't in the know, just kind of like general movie fans, had no idea this movie was coming out. And so when you're talking about it, it's kind of like, it's there. It's coming. Now it's here. Great. Good. So yes, this will be an interesting one to talk about because Pixar in 2025 is a totally different place than, let's say, 2005 or 1995. It's gone through, quite the different iterations over the years. So this is the newest film from the Pixar canon, and we are excited to blast off and talk about it. Before we do, I just want to remind you about Prime for young adults. If you haven't signed up for this is a great opportunity for you to get a 6-month trial of Prime for young adults for absolutely free. And so this is if you are ages 18 to 24 or you are a student, you get, that 6-month trial, but then your Prime membership is 50% off, which is a lot of savings. You get tons of all of the different perks that Prime has, Prime Video, the free shipping. And recently they've included a limited 5% cashback savings across categories like beauty, apparel, electronics, and personal care. So if you have been interested in this is a good opportunity to sign up for that. I would also like to say I am also able to take advantage of this because I have gone back to school to finish my bachelor's, which is yay. But I'm more enthusiastic than you. I know. I'm just in the midst of it, and it's just so annoying. Every bit of it is. I get the updates. The best part about it is the perks of student discounts. So I am back in the world of student discounts, and I absolutely am a member of the Prime YA because it's for students as well. So yay! 5% off. So you can go to rotoscopers.com/PrimeYA to take advantage take advantage of that offer. And if you are not, you just enjoy shopping on Amazon, then you can always start your shopping by going to rotoscopers.com/Amazon. And we appreciate it. We get a small commission for things that you purchase at no additional cost to you, and it helps keep the podcast running after all these years. So thank you so much. And with that, let's head to deep space.
Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
USAA knows dynamic duos can save the day, like superheroes and sidekicks, or auto and home insurance. With USAA, you can bundle your auto and home and save up to 10%. Visit USAA.com/bundle. Bundle savings are off total premium, not available in all states or in all situations. To qualify, auto policy must be active prior to property policy issue, subject to change. Restrictions apply. Membership eligibility and product restrictions apply and are subject to change. USAA means United Services Automobile Association and its affiliates, San Antonio, Texas.
Are your business expenses playing hide and seek? With Uber for Business, the small spends that slip through the cracks, like rides and meals, go right where you need them. Because it integrates with leading expense platforms, you can say goodbye to surprise costs, missing dollars, or chasing receipts. Everything's track downable. Uber for Business. Make small steps that make a big impact. Learn more at uber.com/small steps.
All right, so before we get started, here's some basic information about this film. The film is called Elio. Now, if you're like me and my children, you want to call it Elio. If you've been looking online, like people kind of just call it whatever they want. Like I've heard people who've like seen the movies and done reviews calling it Elio, but it's specifically Elio, which is confusing because there's definitely like a Spanish undertones to this, you know, with his family, and there's different Spanish songs that are in there. And so if you know the Spanish language, you're like, but it should be an E. And even English phonetically, like my kids, you know, they're like back to basics, you know, phonogram sort of stuff. And they're like, no, Mom, it's, if you look at the way that it's pronounced, so these are first and second graders, it's Elio. I'm like, I know. They needed to add an extra L for some reason and they didn't. But alas, it is Elio. And the release date, June 20th, 2025. Production studio, Pixar Animation Studios. Distributed by Walt Disney Studios Motion Pictures. Directors, originally, it was Adrian Molina. And then he was removed and apparently is working on Coco 2. He stepped down.
Well, we're just going to say it as it is. Yes. But yes, after things weren't working, we'll talk about the history of this film. But okay. If you're going with the PR spin, he stepped down to work on other projects. And then it was taken over by Madeline Sharafian and Domi Shi, which I think is interesting because when I was watching the credits, after kind of like the main credits and then the credits start to roll, it had one specifically that said directed by Adrian Molina, and it just had him. And I'm like, wait, but he didn't. Like he did, but there were two others added in. So I'm like, did someone not update the credits here? I don't know. It was very strange for me that it didn't list all three. But alas, screenwriter Julia Cho, Mark Hammer, Mike Jones, composer Rob Simonson, budget 150 to 200 million. That is right in line for Pixar. Although we're hearing, because they had to rework this, which we'll talk about in a second, that it's closer to maybe 250, 300. Unsubstantiated, but you know,
that would make more sense.
We'll take what we were given. And so far, the box office, just, you know, a few weeks, it has not done very well. It's done $98.7 million worldwide. And so it will cross that $100 million mark, which is better than Strange World can say, right? Did Strange World even cross? Or Wish? Like, yeah. Strange World, $73.6 million.
Oof.
Yeah.
Oof.
And Wish, I feel like Wish did pull in a little more, 255. So Strange World really.
Oh, geez.
I mean, and this is again, that's comparing technically Disney to Pixar, but they're all kind of in the same, studio.
They all have the bean mouth these days. So,
so I think we need to talk about before we get started talking about the film, the history of this film. So this film has been in development for quite a while. I think I was reading around 2020 is like when the first iterations of like pre-production and kind of working towards the idea started. But then, and there's an article that talks about this, and I'll link this in the show notes. It's by Hollywood Reporter, and this came out a few days after the film was released. And if you know, these are the trades. These are, they are in the pocket of the studios, sometimes when they want to be, sometimes when they're not. So sometimes when you see stuff like this, are they doing damage control? And so they're having this article come out.
Right.
But these are people that are working.
What is the spin? How are we spinning this?
Yeah.
Are we going to or against? And really it comes down to like who are they trying to screw over at this point?
Right. I mean, this movie had been released. It hadn't done very well, on its initial opening weekend. And so then this one comes out. It's like, well, the article is titled Inside Elio's Catastrophic Path, America Ferrera's Exit, Director Change, and Erasure of Queer Themes. So it's kind of a lot happening there, but I'll include the link so you can read it yourself. But kind of, what ended up happening is this film had moved along, and it was really somewhat, they according to multiple insiders who spoke to the Hollywood Reporter, it said that, sorry, I was highlighting it, and then it just went berserk.
Berserk?
Herc. That's what I was thinking too. Ellie he was initially portrayed as this queer-coded character, reflecting the original director's identity as an openly gay filmmaker. And they did not intend it to be a coming out story because the character's only 11. But anyway, over the time, this not openly gay, but like this queer-coded, persona of his was cut back and eventually removed. And so one of the interesting things that happened is they ended up having a screening for this. And they do these typically in Arizona. Not always, but Arizona is kind of like a good market that they can like get away from the California area, but it's still kind of like representative of a normal group of theater goers, right? And
it's also not too far away from California.
Yeah, so it's an easy flight for them. It's just, yeah. And so and they said, after they had screened it, they said, although viewers expressed how much they enjoyed the movie, they also were asked how many of them would see it in the theater, and not a single hand was raised, according to a source with knowledge of the event. This sounded the alarm bells for studio brass. And so then around this time, Molina, he screened it to Pixar leadership, and it just was like, this is not working. Obviously, the test screening and then him screening it to the executives, it just wasn't working. And so it says, there are different accounts of the exact feedback that director received from Pixar boss Pete Docter when lights went up, with rumors circulating that in some of the studio circles that Molina was hurt by the conversation. The part that is clear is that Molina exited the project soon after, and much of Elio was reworked under new directors Madeline Sharafian and Domi Shi. So, obviously it wasn't going the way that you were expecting, and people have noted this. If you were looking at the trailer, this was pushed. Initially, it was supposed to be released, I believe, 2024, and even there were posters that said 2024. And the initial teaser trailers and trailers that came out are kind of, you can tell that it's a different film from the other trailers that came out later. And so they're in a weird spot because this gives very much Good Dinosaur vibes to me.
Yeah. Here's the thing, though, about that test screening. I had a friend who went to it, and I asked, hey, how did you like it? And she had to text somebody else in her group in order to get a synopsis because she couldn't even remember. And so, the Hollywood Reporter here really wants to drive in that it's like, it's bad because the queer themes have been removed. But I'm just here to say, like, no, it was just people didn't remember it. It was not good. Like, where it was not up to snuff. And things had to change. No matter what changes were made, things needed to change because as it wasn't good enough.
Yeah, and I think the differences between Pete Docter and John Lasseter is John Lasseter was kind of ruthless, very much like Steve Jobs. You have these guys who are, quote unquote, geniuses. They're the best of the best. They're able to really, create these amazing products. But at the same time, like, they're kind of can be very cutthroat. And I feel that from what I've read, that was the John Lasseter way. He had no problem just cutting a film, no matter what stage in development. But typically before it even got into like an actual animation stage, he would cut these films. Say, no, this is not working. We're shelving it. And I there's plenty of Pixar. I'm sure you could just Google, list of shelved Pixar movies, and there's a big giant list of them all. And I think he was really good about that, about saying like, this is not working. And I don't think that it's going to get better. And Pete Docter, from the movies that have come out under his tenure, there seems like there's a lot more that have kind of come out that's like, it's okay, but was this the best we had? So I think he's a little bit more squishy in that way, but he has gotten better over the past few years, especially basically since Lightyear, I believe. I think he's kind of put his foot down for certain things, being like, no, this needs to be cut. And I think it's more about themes that maybe won't resonate to a wider audience versus maybe cutting the project entirely.
Yeah, the project probably should have been cut entirely. Like, it didn't have...
Having watched it, yes.
Like, it really did feel like a direct-to-video kind of vibe. Like, it just... or at least quality. Not kind of quality. The bean mouth. I hate the bean mouth. It's too much. I'm done. But outside of the bean mouth, it's the whole... I don't know. The story itself just didn't live up to what it should. And I think that is, who knows where you can say that it should have been cut, from the pipeline, but it didn't get where it needed to go.
Yeah. So what this film is about, it's about a little boy. He's an orphan. He's living with his aunt. His aunt, lives on kind of a military base, or, works in the military, kind of
She's a major in the Space Force? I don't know.
It says Air Force. An Air Force major who gave up her dream of becoming an astronaut.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And so, he lives near, and kind of their department's job is to check for space debris and to let other aircraft know that, hey, this is coming, you need to reroute. That's kind of the gist that I got. And when he has first lost his parents, he went to this sort of space exhibit and saw that, wow, there's tons of planets out there. There's so many. And he kind of got this idea that, like, I need to get away. I need to go somewhere else. And I need to go to space, because space I can get away and from all this pain and hurt. And so then later he's 11 years old, and all he wants to do is just be abducted by aliens. And eventually he gets his wish, and through miscommunication of like a signal that was sent out long ago, and the aliens actually respond back to it, and he's able to be the one to respond back to it. He ends up being the one beamed up and pretends to be the leader of Earth, and is having to keep this con up. And that's kind of, from the trailers, you kind of get that. But even from the trailers, when I was watching it, I'm like, nothing about this seems interesting to me. It just, like you said, the design just kind of was off. Even the way that they try to make him look really quirky with, like, he has this colander on his head and he has all this trash on him. And that was the thing from the original, that, like, he would collect all this trash, and, like, he was really creative, and he would turn it into art pieces. And we see all this different trash on his cape. And then he has the eye patch because he gets hit in the eye, which is just like, it serves no purpose. It doesn't help anything. The only purpose it eventually serves is the aunt is able to determine the real versus fake Elio. But it's like, you just have an eye patch because you thought it looked cool.
At first, when I saw it.
Clearly, it's that I'm very unaware about how eye patches are nowadays. I figured it was just the old-fashioned one with the strap, but apparently the sticky technology has gotten so good that we can now just adhere it on like a big Band-Aid. So I think that was to try to give him this, like, unique look, quirky, different, and I didn't care. Like, in watching the trailers, trying to get excited about this, I'm like, okay, what else is there? Because aliens, kids, abduction, like, it's been done a lot, so you're gonna have to offer me something different.
Well, and not just a lot in general, but this summer, we just saw Lilo and Stitch, the live action remake, and when you're comparing
the Porky Pig Daffy film, The Day the Earth Blew Up.
So you're getting a lot of the same just themes over the summer, over the last several months. And so you do have to, granted, all of these were in development for a long time. And so you can't really gauge like, oh, you should have
stating. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so there's a lot of that, but it's kind of unfortunate that it happened to also be during this time when there's an influx of a lot of these space alien type movies. And even just right on the heels of Lilo and Stitch. Now, I do want to start, a little bit more on the positive side of this, because by the end of it, when walking out, I actually thought it was good. Like, it was like probably I'm going to just go ahead and rate it right now, just so that I can tell you about where I'm at with this film. It's about 2.75. It's more than like half. It's more than not bad. It was just like, I thought, oh, that was good, but in a forgettable way. And I think that that's really where the whole thing went. Like, I don't want people to think that we're just so negative about this film, because in general, when I left, I was like, well, that was good. All right, next. And so it wasn't a bad thing. I also did like how in this film, as opposed to the Lilo and Stitch film, the sister/aunt actually keeps the kid, as opposed to like giving him up to the government. So it's like
always a plus.
Always a plus.
Always a plus.
And in this case, like, she, instead of giving him up to space, like, it's just kind of a weird thing.
I thought that too. I thought like, okay, we're going to have the Hercules moment.
Yes, that was exactly what was in my head. Like,
are you going to choose godhood and forego your human existence? Or are you going to choose, which I always, my feelings on this, he's made the wrong decision. Or are you going to give up this amazing thing that you've always wanted and go with what you need? Which ultimately is what he does.
Yes. But I also felt like okay, so I was telling my cousin, like, the movie was good. And it ended up with him saying, I am going to give Earth another try. And it's just like, what? Like, the fact that was like the crux of his choices, like him saying, I didn't give Earth a good shot. Like, it's just weird. I don't know how to explain it other than that just didn't really resonate enough. Like, it needed to be a different struggle for him, as opposed to, I didn't really give Earth the chance it needed,
Yeah. Didn't give it the old college try.
Right. I'm 11, so obviously it didn't.
Yeah, so you go into what you talked about with, she didn't give the child up to the government. We have Olga Solis, who's the aunt, who is the sister to his father. And first thing, I remember that Zoe Saldana was the one who replaced America Ferrera, and that she was in this. But I didn't initially when she was talking. And so the first little bit, I'm like, wow, she just has such a pleasant voice listening to her. Like, it's very, very pleasant. So, but yes, at the there are moments where you're seeing her struggle, where like, I gave this up and I still want it. I don't know if this is for me. Okay, I'm sending you to summer camp, and can we keep him there for the fall? And you're seeing like, okay, this is, I could see why he's a little turd, and that he's difficult. And I could see why she's going down this path, and ultimately she makes the right decision, which is like keeping the family together and like sacrificing for him. And it doesn't mean that she's going to sacrifice everything else. So I did like that, and I thought that was a big plus compared to the live action Lilo and Stitch. I just keep wanting to call her Aunt Cass, because I feel like, man, we got these, it's classic orphan, but I feel like recently there's been a lot of aunts. They're like taking over the role.
Yeah.
And so Big Hero 6 came to mind.
Yeah. Well, what's also interesting is that as a major in the military, you're going to be in your 30s, if not later 30s. Mm-hmm. And so for her to be like, I didn't know that this was going to be my life. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It just seems a little disingenuous, because, or at least, I don't know, like, did she never
get that deep?
Did she never want to be a mother ever? Like, because by the time you're in your 30s, like, a majority of my friends and people that I know, women who didn't have kids, in their earlies are thinking like, man, did I miss out? Man, how do I kind of get that motherly, any kind of remote situation to that, There's some kind of inclining to that. Now, if you're in your teens, early 20s, I can absolutely see, I didn't think this was what my life would be like. But in your 30s, late 30s, you're just like, oh, good. Now I get a chance at this, because she obviously didn't have that chance. Or maybe she just was like, I never want to be a mother ever.
Yeah, I got the vibe like it was never anything that she was a goal, which some people have, and it's totally fine. Yeah, that your one goal in life doesn't have to be motherhood. So I didn't really feel that it was like revealing to her, this is something like that I'm realizing I'm missing out on. I never felt that transformation for her. I just felt that it was, she realized this may not have been what I wanted, but this is where I need to be. And had that duty. I mean, especially being in military, like the duty aspect is a really big important thing. And so I felt like she was taking on that duty and really owning it by the end for the family.
And her ability to adult as a military major, I feel like should be more than, say, a 19-year-old sister. So like I'm comparing the two as the feelings of, I'm, the girl who's giving up college, who's not even 20 years old in order to take care of the young sibling or person, relative, versus the mid-30 to older 30 woman who is financially capable, has money, is able to do things, but has to deal with a bit of an attitude. Like, as a mother of four, Morgan said, a turd. So,
if you know, you know.
So I understand that in the way of like, this wasn't what I was expecting this relationship being. But as far as her inability to do it, I don't know. I feel like you're not giving the story writers didn't have enough faith in her.
Yeah. So, another thing that I was watching with this movie, it was like, okay, Elio kind of gets everything that he wants. Mm-hmm. Where is the struggle for him? The struggle is, oh, you're an orphan, but then he wants to be abducted and he gets abducted. And then everything's like going right for a very long portion of the movie. I didn't feel there was a big struggle for him until finally he meets the friend. And then there's kind of the problem with Glorden, who's the worm child, and the dad, Lord Grygon, who the whole time I'm like, who is that voice? Who is that voice? It's Hookhand from Tangled. And he's also Gusteau from Ratatouille. So I'm like, nice. You're the one. Great voice. Another really, really great voice. I really enjoyed him. But yeah, so I was just like, I'm like, what am I getting out of this? Like, what lessons is he learning? That's like a universal film.
Gotta give Earth another try.
Yeah, it just, at the very end of it all, he eventually, they save the child, and then they have this reconciliation with the dad and the son, and then he gives Earth another try, and it's gonna work out. And I'm like, okay, I appreciated that they didn't have like the mystical portal where, hey, you get the best of both worlds.
You get both. I
totally thought they were gonna go that direction. I'm like, okay, if you're gonna have to make a decision, it has to have some stakes to it. And for the most part, they did. And their one connection to it was the ham radio, which I liked the ham radio throughout this.
Yes, Morgan loves the ham radios.
Someone who like knows very little about ham radios, but think it would be cool to have my ham radio license on like a very minor scale. Just because, if the world ever ends and you need one, like it'd be cool to have. I kind of thought that was a nice little thing that they added in there and kind of throughout. Although, Elio does just straight up steal the ham radio from the kid at the beginning, Bryce.
Yeah.
Didn't like that. At first I thought he stole it completely and kept it. But eventually Bryce has it back. But Bryce didn't even really like fight for it too much. He was like, oh, it's my uncle's. And then when he steals it never gets brought up again. I don't know. I thought that was interesting. A
little bit of ethics.
But yeah, it was cool because you can see he just wants a friend. And this is a very common thing for children. And especially if you're like quirky or have, some trauma or just, it's hard being a child. It's hard being an adult.
At
Making
11
friends
years
is hard.
old is hard.
Yeah.
That is a hard age.
A lot of people kind of have their probably pre-established friend groups, whatnot. And so he puts this call out for this like ham radio group. And one kid shows up. And unfortunately, Elio wants to steal the thing or just use him. And so like what he needed and wanted was right there in front of his eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't see that at the beginning. And at the end, they become friends. And then they're able to communicate with Glorden and catch up on how he's doing. And that's their connection to space. And, but one thing I thought, like, as I was watching this, I'm like, man, I always kind of like get glimpses of a movie that could have been, whether this crossed their mind or not. With, for example, The Good Dinosaur, we always got this idea, like, what would it be like if the asteroid never hit the Earth and the dinosaurs never died? So when that was the initial tease that Pixar was giving us, in my mind, I always thought, oh, dinosaurs are still alive with people. And now we're kind of in modern times. Like, wow, that's kind of an interesting concept. How would this work out? And that's not what it was at all. It was, no, humans and dinosaurs are still alive, but the dinosaurs have advanced, to be the farmers and the cultivators, and the humans are, the feral creatures, whatever. It's like, okay, whatever. But with this one, as I was watching it, they go to the summer camp. And I love a good summer camp. I thought it was really gray and dull, and I think that was the purpose, because this wasn't supposed to be an exciting thing for him. And so visually, you wanted to show that, like, ugh, he does not want to be here. This is not like this, rainbow and sunshine and kittens. But they put on, it's kind of like a scout camp, and there's all these other kids here, and there's lots of stuff happening, and they have the uniform, and I don't know. I thought, like, man, if we could have just changed the setting a little bit and spent more time at this camp, that would have been cool. I personally would have liked it, but it's not what we got. No big deal. But I was just thinking, like a Pixar film that's all about a summer camp would be fun. Whatever that be. Anyways, but here's the thing. So once he goes to space, like, space is exciting and beautiful, and there's, it's the unknown, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's Pixar's an incredible studio. They were able to do so much and visualize, and I felt like space was just boring, bland. It was too much visually. There was no cohesion to it. All of the aliens in this, what was the place called? It was like basically communism. The communiverse, yeah, or the commune. Like, it's like, okay, it was visually not cohesive, and I didn't know what to look at. From the aliens to the sets, it was just all over the place. It was just like, okay, everyone at Pixar, create an alien, and we're gonna put it in our film. Mm-hmm. Who cares if it even looks like? There was no form or function to some of these creatures. It was like, it's just a creature just because.
Yeah.
And so I especially the ones that didn't have eyes, which is like the two main ones we're supposed to care about, is Glorden and his dad. And they don't, well, the dad has eyes for the suit, but Glorden doesn't. And
in the suit, both of them do, but outside the suit.
The suit has the eyes, but like as an actual, like themselves as a creature, they don't. And I'm like, okay, it can be done. The carpet. Magic carpet. There's certain creatures that you don't need to have like
a face.
I'm supposed to care about him a lot, and having no eyes to really connect with just disconnected me a little bit from him and his design. And just in general, I didn't care about any of these aliens.
Right.
I couldn't tell you their names.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know these two because I've looked them up obviously for this, but all the ones that he's like joining, what is that place called? I keep forgetting. Whatever it's called.
Communiverse.
The Communiverse, like inner circle, whatever, you get the badge. I couldn't tell you anything about them, why they were important. Just, it was not good.
Yeah. Well, I think the main fun parts of that whole situation was when they, went crazy Broadway style and had the all syrup super squishies.
Entirely out of syrup. A super squishy made entirely out of syrup? Such a thing has never been done. Make it happen. Springfield.
And we're full of sugar. What do? Let's go crazy Broadway style. Like, literally, I'm watching that and I just start laughing to myself because that's all I can picture. Like, these kids are just getting totally drunk off of whatever is in this Slurpee looking thing, and then like going about do exactly like The Simpsons. And so that's what it was.
I just
in my
watched
head.
that recently.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So that was, you had that moment of like, this is our bonding moment. And so we're going to, build our friendship within this 2-minute little extravaganza of Slurpee. And then like you have the moment where Glorben is like saying, oh no, I don't want to be like my dad. And so it's like, okay. And then, yeah, it is weird that it's like, okay, Glorben has this trial that he has to overcome, but the main Elio doesn't. And that is not uncommon. The Little Mermaid was not the one who changed in her movie. It was her dad. So I get it. Like sometimes it is the secondary character that makes the change. But at the same time, it was...
For her to make the change, she still had to go through I was thinking this as well, watching the movie.
Okay.
Comparing to Little Mermaid, is that for her, she still had to make a huge sacrifice to enter this new world that had effects on, other things that would affect King Triton and Elio didn't have that. There was no sacrifice he had to make to go to space. But continue.
It was congratulations, you're here. But yeah, it was fun and colorful, but it was also it was boring.
It reminded me of Strange World, where it was like, okay, this is supposed to evoke something. I'm supposed to feel something about this world, but this world is weird. Like, what's the purpose of this world? Why does it look this way? It was just a lot of colors and swirly lines just for the sake of having it. It was weird to me. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so there was one other little thing that I wanted to point out was that they have Glorben's people, all of the warlord group, they start doing the haka as he's like being put in there. I'm like, yeah, I feel like the Tongan people would be very upset with this. Like, stop stealing our dance.
Hey, just presenting more people.
Yeah, I guess. But those are the main thoughts that I had about this movie. There weren't a lot of things. It was kind of a story that you glossed through, and you went through, and you're like, well, okay, well, that was nice. Once you knew that there was going to be a happy family at the end, then it was like, well, that's nice. I'm glad we got that. And so overall, that ending was enough to make it not feel like, why did I spend money on this? I didn't feel like that. It was like, well, okay, cool. Moving on. But yeah, I feel like it was the best case scenario for what they had.
Yeah, so I felt like at the very beginning, so I'd, seen, okay, this is a bomb. People aren't really liking this movie. Okay, is this?
I had the lowest expectations.
Such a bore going into this, but like, hey, let's give it a chance. So I go in and I'm like, okay, watching it, it's fine. Like, I'm not rolling my eyes. I'm not hating my life. I'm just totally fine watching the film. And then it hits the point where I liked that the aunt was able to really kind of catch on quickly that the clone was not him. And then eventually they connect and they like have that moment of reconciliation. And I felt like that's kind of where the movie ended. Like, I felt like, this is it. This is totally fine. But obviously there's more that needs to happen because Glorben is here and he needs to be reunited with his dad before all craziness happens. So then there was the, action scene kind of to fill the last 15, 20 minutes and wrap that up in a bow. So yeah, but watching it was generally fine. But as I got further and further into it, I just noticed like it's not offering me what I need or want. It's fine, but it's not adding anything extra as far as themes and characters and depth and even visually. So I was looking at I'll include a link to it in the show notes, but the art of Elio, I don't even know if it's not going to pick up.
Is the book good?
Well, so this is a funny thing that I noticed. So we get these sent to us, and at first I'm like, okay, I'm interested to see what changes were made to Elio's design from this like first iteration to the second iteration. And I want to like get more into the story. But then initially I look at this and there's no writer. I'm like, well, that's interesting, because normally there's a writer there that's kind of like creating the narrative in the story. And I'm flipping through, and if they do have long passages of text, it's just a quote, like a paragraph quote from, here's the story manager, here's Bill Pressing, the story artist. And it's just these little quote tidbits, other than the preface and the introduction. And I was like, that's weird. Are they really just trying to gloss over what this film is? They don't really want to talk about it. Oh, this guy, Gunther. Okay. Do you see him?
No.
It's not.
Oh, the ham
the
radio
nerdy guy who like they didn't believe in the beginning. He was my favorite.
Yeah.
He was so squash and stretch. His design was over the top, and his reactions. I loved him. And yes, I love that he came back. So, but anyway, so I was like looking through this, and I'm like, I want to see Elio, and we didn't really get any of these pictures of Elio at the beginning of what he looks like and how he changed, which you know was kind of a bummer. I'm kind of like looking at it now. I mean, he kind of had like more of a like a shaved on the side haircut with more of like a messy top, you know, kind of the that's about it. You know, he looks kind of older slightly. But there's no indication on why he changed, why they designed him this way. And so then I'm like, that's strange. And I go, oh, this is like perfect example. Can you see? It's because of my backdrop. It's okay. I don't know if you can see it, but it's showing all the different other Pixar Pixar books. And I'm like, when did they start doing this? When did they not have a writer? Because, you know, the Disney books, there's J.B. Kaufman, there's like, it's definitely more of story. And I look at Luca, I look at Turning Red, I look at Soul, I look at Elemento, I look at Coco. Like, Pixar has never kind of had an author for their art books. Now I'm sitting there thinking about it, I'm like, you're right. Like, it's literally like, here is a dump of all of the concept art. Go crazy. But they're not going to weave and tell the story very much about what changes and the why, other than these little blurbs. And so I feel like I kind of knew that instinctively, having like reviewed all these various ones, but now I'm like, oh, that's just the Pixar way. So that's encouraging that they didn't suddenly say like, oh, cut it, we don't want to talk about Elio. Just like, there's nothing here. You don't want to know. Don't look behind the curtain. So I appreciate that. But it's just interesting that because they're both done by Chronicle Books, which is the publisher. And so it's just a stylistic choice for the two studios on, you know, how in depth they want to go and what's the purpose of the book. For Pixar, it's strictly the art. Let's get as much art in there as possible. And Disney kind of wants to have more of a story behind the scenes, like a featurette. So very fun. So yeah, there I have that book now, and it didn't really like, I don't know, you know, just like the movie. It was like flipping through it, like, okay, cool, that's it. So yeah. Is there anything else about this film that, you know, sparks my fancy that I want to talk about? I'm really glad I remember that Gunther character, because he was so very funny. So you talked the bean mouth animation, and this has been a big criticism of Pixar recently, that they've basically, since Luca,
but it's not just Pixar. It's like gone all over the industry. All right. Sorry.
People. So funny. There was someone who was like, I was watching a video, and they're like, people blame, you know, that the CalArts. It's called the CalArts style, or bean mouth animation, and this person was like, but these artists didn't go to CalArts. I'm like, you're missing the point. Like, it's moved beyond like, oh, strictly people from CalArts use this style to it's just a style that now has a name that maybe at a point in time was very heavily influenced by, you know, certain creators that went to CalArts. You know, it's this, you know, you have this big wide bean of a mouth, you know, that's what people like to call it, with just like cheek-lay teeth. And it, you know, there's a lot of television shows, Cartoon Network shows from about like 2010 era that, you know, Gravity Falls and Adventure Time, maybe, I don't know, that had this style that was very popular. And I think the reason it works so well in 2D is that it allowed for like a quicker animation. You had to just slap it on there, and it served its purpose. You didn't, but then when you translate it into CGI, it has a different thing. I noticed with the characters, I as I was looking, specifically the ant, whenever she turned to the side, like she had a very feline profile. It's because like the cheeks are just like this big, like it's just like a big bulbous face. And the cheeks, because like a cat has like very heavy, like, I don't know, like cheeks where their whiskers are and whatnot. Like she looked like a cat to me, and I couldn't not see it once I did. It was like, oh, this is interesting. When you translate this into CGI, it looks odd. But anyway, it's been used extensively. I mean, even the Bad Guys from DreamWorks has it. Right. And there's certain, it's does Mitchell versus the Machines use it a bit? I think they do. But since Luca, Turning Red, and now this one have used this style. And this style for a lot of people is off-putting. It's not as, to me, it's kind of like anime. If you show someone anime, that style, there will be a portion of the population that is turned off by it.
A portion that loves it and a portion that doesn't.
Yes, and it just is what it is. And you won't be able to convince people otherwise. Same thing with animation. Literally, you can show someone an animated movie, even like a classic Snow White or Beauty and the Beast, whatever, and they'll be like, whatever, have their own preconceived notions. And I think this certain art style kind of conveys that to some people. And there's been lots of criticism saying like, well, the reason this one movie didn't do well is because the Pixar bean mouth art style. And I don't think the failure, if you're to say, of this film has anything to do with the art style.
No.
But they really need to move away from this art style. Like, it's being criticized so much that it's kind of stealing the show in the criticism. And maybe they like that because then they don't have to really like talk about the merits of the film and the story. They can kind of just say, well, I don't know, people didn't like the art style, that's why it didn't do well. But I felt like when I was watching it, it didn't feel as bean mouthy as when you see just a still and it's very obvious. So it didn't, initially it's like, this again, but not enough for me not to see it. I would like to see them go back to something else. I mean, we've seen so many different unique styles of animation, and whether it's like the actual process of animating or just the character design, whatever. Like, I think this one needs to be put to pasture for Pixar. Either go back to their traditional style or try something different, try something new. I think, so yes, sorry, I kind of cut you off.
I think that the bean mouth, it's just, one, it's overdone. It kind of gives the impression to me like lower quality because less attention had to be made to make it look good. I don't know. Even with the Bad Guys, I don't think that, like, now that I notice that it's in there, it kind of bugs me because it's like, even you.
I noticed it mostly with the humans. The humans have it. The animals, not so much.
But even in Bad Guys, they do have it. But like the plot of the Bad Guys, I enjoyed, and I felt like it was enjoyable, and so the story was enough that I wasn't thinking about what I'm looking at. Yeah, I'm thinking about the story, and so there's definitely a portion of you can say, oh, that's the problem. Well, no, actually, it isn't the problem. The story just wasn't good enough to get you away from the fact that it's not that great of animation.
Yeah. And so another thing that I think is interesting is they have Domi Shi, who is the director of Turning Red. She did a short that she directed from 2018 called Bow, which I recently just rewatched, and they really like her. I'm just surprised that after Turning Red and how that was received, that they went back to her to take over this film. I couldn't say she did a bad job. I can't tell you like what was her versus the other co-director versus Adrian. I don't know, but I think it's interesting that she was the one chosen to take over, So, because for me, I just did not enjoy Turning Red. And so,
I did not,
and sometimes, I mean, we hear these stories of a director has a bad film and they never get a shot again. Yeah. It's over. It's over for them. But I am wondering if Pixar's pool is not as deep as it should be. Because
I wonder.
I was thinking about it, is the way they kind of used to do these is you'd have the short pipeline. And I looked at the shorts that have come out, and Bow really is the last one, because Disney Plus took over so much of their resources with, they had the television series. They had like a short series kind of. I'm trying to find like a list of Pixar animation shorts, but come up, but there really is nothing. I mean, you think about, you go to a Pixar film and there would be, even at Disney, and there would be a short in front of it.
Yeah,
they don't do that. They don't do that anymore. And I feel like that's actually something that's really hurt the studio, is they don't have this lower stakes pipeline for these directors to really cut their teeth. For example, the director of Coco, I believe, was the one who did.
Is that Molina?
Not Molina. No. The Luna. No.
Screenplay by Adrian Molina.
Yeah, he was brought on as a co-director for Coco. So you'll see in these articles they'll say, "Oh, Coco director," which obviously co-director, but Enrico Casa. Oh, he did Luna, and then went and directed Luca. La Luna to Luca. Yeah. Anyways, so there we have it. It's just very interesting. Is she working on something else? Let's see. Right now, nothing announced. She's just wrapping this one up, so it's going to be maybe a while until we see something else coming from her. But she's been, story artist since, 2015. And then on the Pixar senior creative team since 2019, which again is post Lasseter. They really did a big shakeup, and she's kind of been on there, ever since. So there you go, everybody. So you said you would rate this film, just to recap,
2.75.
2.75. All right. And I'm going to rate this film 2 stars. I saw it. I was there. I watched it. I didn't feel anything. I didn't have big emotions. I didn't have strong opinions about these characters or people that I absolutely loved and didn't love. So I'm just going to give it 2 stars. I saw a thing that my friends had done. They have about, through the variety of them, it was probably like 10 plus kids. And they went and saw all the different movies this summer, like the more family-friendly ones. And so it was live action Lilo and Stitch, How to Train Your Dragon, and they finally went and saw Elio. And they polled their kids, and they did a poll, like, which one's your favorite of the 3? And How to Train Your Dragon and Lilo and Stitch got votes, and Elio got 0. And I feel like that just wraps it back around to that initial test screening of, like, would you go see this in theaters? No hands raised.
Yeah.
Which is a bummer. That they weren't even able to really turn it around at all. So yeah, this is a movie. Pixar did it. I probably will never go back and see it again. That's basically what it comes down to.
And I had more of this was fine. This was fine. Vibe with it.
And there wasn't anything that I hated. It was like, oh my gosh,
there was nothing.
Norm of the North. I hate everything in my life.
Oh no.
It was just very underwhelming, and it was fine enough for me. And you kind of had a little bit more positive.
I felt like okay, if for example, if I were with Marissa and she was watching it, I'd be like, oh, okay, cool. I wouldn't have any negative feelings about it. But it's not something that I would necessarily go back to. I might sit down, watch a little bit, and then walk away a little bit. But yeah, that's where I'm at with this.
All right, let us know your thoughts about Elio. Go to rotoscopers.com/347. You can give us a voicemail at rotoscopers.com/voicemails, or give us a call at 406-646-6575. Don't forget to use our Amazon Prime Young Adult.
It's awesome.
Link, if you haven't signed up already, rotoscopers.com/PrimeYA, and do all of your Amazon shopping at rotoscopers.com/Amazon. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of the Animation Addicts Podcast. And until next time, we are the Rotoscopers. You've been listening to the Animation Addicts Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe and be sure to leave us a 5-star review. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you want to help spread the word, be sure to share the podcast with your friends on social media. Just don't forget to tag us at Rotoscopers on Instagram and use the hashtag Animation Addicts. For all the links and full show notes for this episode, go to rotoscopers.com/podcast. Now, if you still can't get enough for your animation fix, be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube and visit rotoscopers.com for more animation news, reviews, and interviews. Thanks for listening.